The Patreon pick this week, as requested by our lovely patron Lavaskin, thank you for the request, was the 1988 animated film Grave of the Fireflies. And of course, this is the story of two Japanese children back in World War II, where, you know, their whole fucking village is firebombed by the Americans, and they have to just thug it out and try to make it work.
Fun fact, this movie is based on a true event called World War II.
Oh, funny, but bad fun fact.
I'm just kidding, I have a real one.
Okay.
Fun fact, the director insists this isn't an anti-war film.
What? Okay.
Good fun fact. What's his problem?
I don't know. He specifically has said, like, that message is not intended to be in this movie, and I hope people don't read that into it.
What, is he pro-war? Is that what he's saying?
Maybe he's really red-pilled on the whole bombing of Japan.
Fascinating. Dylan, where are you ranking this one?
Oh wait, my notes. I gave it an A.
Nice. Jackson, how about yourself?
I'm at an A+.
There we go. I'm also sitting at an A right now. Tanner, how about yourself?
Dude, I'm at an A-.
Whoa!
Well, seems like we're in a
Fucking
similar
hater,
boat.
what's up with that?
Hey, did you not like the fucking movie, dipshit, huh?
Really, my only major problem was I thought the pacing was too slow. I thought it was a bit too of a slow burn for me personally. But yeah, I think this is a very good movie. This is a great film, in fact. I think it's a really interesting exploration of the time, and especially how it explores Saita's sort of development. Like, the moment that really sticks out to me is when he does start, like, stealing and doing all this fucked up shit just to survive. I'm like, okay, this is, like, a much more nuanced look at, like, what is happening under this scenario and whatnot. And I find it kind of interesting that I can kind of see what he means when he says it's not an anti-war film. Like, none of the characters are necessarily like, war shouldn't happen. They're like, it sucks that this is happening, but no one in the film, to my knowledge, is like, oh, the war just has to end. We have to stop fighting or whatever, you know?
Honestly, they kind of treat it like it's just like environmental issues. They're not like environmental issues, but like it's just like the environment acting on them. Like it's got a completely unrelated like phantom force to it, which is interesting.
All right, guys, real quick here. Who cried when watching this film?
Pensive emoji.
I don't know how to interpret this. I didn't.
What?
Yeah, I was telling this to Jackson earlier this week. I shockingly didn't cry when I watched this movie. I don't know if it was just the state of mind at the time or whatever. The movie gave me a lot of sense of dread and despair the whole time. Like, I couldn't help but feel, like, just so much dreary emotion for these two characters. And it's just like, damn, this is so... I was gonna say this is so real to life, but it's just like thinking about how people go through this kind of shit, you know? I think the movie does a really good job of just showing that, and like these are the, you know, the risks people have to take and the like scenarios people go through, and it just kind of really goes to reflect on like the family situation. And I mean that in regards to when the kids go to live at the aunt's house, and she's like, oh, well, you're old enough to, you know, work a job or, you know, fight for our country or go to work for our country, and oh, you think you deserve food? You're not doing anything to earn anything in this house. So it's just really interesting seeing the cultural difference, I guess, in regards to that, where in Japan it's very much like you do work, you get rewarded kind of thing, whereas we're more like used to like, let me extend a hand to help my fellow man. But yeah, no, I mean, I had a very deep emotional like connection to this movie. I definitely felt it, but like for some reason it never really got me to the point of crying. I don't know why.
Yeah, I didn't cry either because I think the Japanese are bug people.
Oh my god.
I am not. I didn't cry, but I do not agree with what Tanner just said. I want to put that out there.
Yeah, I also didn't cry. Which I'm very shocked by. I was fully expecting to, but it just didn't quite get me there. You know, didn't didn't quite bring him out of me.
That's what I was thinking.
This is still a fantastic film regardless of that fact, though. Like, you know, I can't really think of many other films that are able to really capture just how devastating war is on the civilians like this one was able to. It's incredibly powerful stuff. Like Tanner said, like, just like those scenes of him fucking like running through the houses and stuff like that while like these bombings are happening was fucking crazy. It's just like this whole different mindset that he has to have in order to make his way in this world now. And just fucking that like scene where he finds out that his father has died. And it's just, you see the realization set in on him. They're like, oh, no one's gonna come and save me now. This is just how my life is, and I need to fucking figure out how to deal with it at this point. And unfortunately, he's not able to, which is very sad.
Yeah, I think what probably fucked me up the most about this movie was just the pride of the character in all of it. Where there were a couple like random civilians that are like, kid, you're probably just better off apologizing to that lady and going back. And I really thought he would. I thought, like, for the betterment and the health of his sister, he would be like, yeah, shit, they're right, I should probably... Which, you know, considering we saw how the movie started, obviously that was, like, the end. We knew that wasn't going to happen, but just... I thought, like, he cared so much for his sister, he'd be like, oh, yeah, I probably should. I should go, you know, do this so I could, you know, help save my sister. And he just doesn't do it. And I think... that doesn't detract from the movie, even though it sounds like I'm saying that. If anything, it just goes to show, like, it shows his character where he's like, I've got to be the person that could take care of her. I've got to do things my way. You know, this is my life. I choose how I want to live it. And ultimately, in the end, it ends up getting him and his sister killed. But it's also, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's, like, squarely their fault. It is also just a product of war and, like, environment and all that kind of stuff, too. So, Jackson?
Oh, okay. It's being passed to me now. Yeah, no, I think this movie is absolutely beautiful. I love a lot of it. It is very small in scope. It tells you immediately what it is right when the movie starts, and it's basically just watching what comes of what you're initially shown, so it's not trying to hide anything to you. I think, unlike Tanner, it's very well paced. I think they do a good job of just, like, keeping the ball rolling. You get to see those clips of, you know, the ghost of our main character, watching them progress. We get to see little snippets of things he's doing behind the scene that just give a lot of context, and I think it adds a lot too. It's a very immersive feeling movie. It, like, I don't know how to describe it really. It's very interestingly structured in that way. They do some cool things with time. I never felt bored. I think it was really engrossing throughout the entirety of it, especially because you know what's going on. You know, you're just basically waiting for the next bad thing to happen to them at points, and of course that just kept coming and then stopped. I'm also the only one I think that isn't watching this blind, but it had been a while. It had been like 5 years probably since I had last watched this movie, and I've forgotten a lot about it, but it still hit pretty hard. I don't think it hit as hard as the first time I watched it, but it's still a fantastic movie. I think it does a really good job with its small scope. I think for the time too, it's very well animated. It's a really pretty movie. It's got really gorgeous backgrounds like you'd expect from a Ghibli film. The animation of the characters is incredible too. Like, just the subtle facial changes they do constantly. Super, super well done. Especially the sister. Her acting, like the voice acting for her, just the way they animate her, she just feels like a real-to-life child, and it really makes it so much harder to watch this happen because it genuinely does just feel like it's an animated thing, you know, but I think the movie does such a good job with the immersion of it that it really does just feel like you're watching two motherfuckers die to war and starvation. It's really tragic. But yeah, overall, I think I really liked it. I think, honestly, one of the bigger things that's holding it back is just, like, its scope. It's a smaller movie, I guess, in that regard. I don't really know what else it would have changed. It's a great movie, though. Big fan.
I really don't have any problems with the scope at all for it. I definitely appreciate just how small it is, honestly. Like, I would have fucking hated it if they introduced some stupid Ghibli bullshit like they do in every one of their films, where it's like, I don't know, some fucking witch appears and whisks them off to a storybook or some shit. I would have hated that, but yeah, them keeping it much more real to life is something that I liked a lot.
I will say, there were a couple things that you mentioned, Jackson. It was really interesting to watch the progression of the story where they started out and it's like, oh, they're kids of an officer, so they're gonna be okay, and so life looks like it's gonna be good for a while, and like maybe everything will turn out fine. And then, you know, then they downgrade. and then you just kind of watch the progression of the the decline of like their quality of life. And eventually when they move into like that shelter, it's like, oh, they're able to find food, they're able to do this, they're able to do that. The movie like does a really good job of setting you up for hope, and then like some tragic event happens, and then you have to get used to the new norm, and that just keeps happening. And it's almost like the movie's building up hopeful expectations in the audience, so that the mood of dread and despair like I was experiencing happens, where it's like, oh, well, I guess it makes sense that things wouldn't last that long, and, you know, it's a real, like, it's a good roller coaster of emotions, I would say. I think it was a very interesting setup.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even like the bad stuff just comes out of nowhere or anything like that either. Like, they're setting it up throughout the whole film. You get this slow progression of, like, even just, like, at the fucking beach when they're, like, you know, swimming around the water. Like, they don't draw attention to it or anything, but you can see it, like, the little girl is, like, developing rashes and stuff on her body. And they're like, this is a bad sign for things to come. And just, like, one of the most heartbreaking things about it is, like, it is all so preventable. It's like the doctor said, like, the only problem is that she doesn't have food. That's it. Like, if they could just get some good meals in their stomachs, they'd be golden. But yeah, it's become such a valuable resource at this point that they just can't do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at with why I was hoping, and like I think the audience was expecting that the kid would just go back to live with their aunt, but alas.
Alrighty, fellas, do we have anything else to say about, I was about to say Spirited Away, about Grave of the Fireflies?
No.
I will say, I think this movie does do a good job of just, like, painting the reason why they don't go back to their aunt. That being, they don't do it, like, they don't fucking just, like, yell it in your face. Well, obviously they're being, like, verbally berated, they're being, you know, abused mentally in that regard, which is just not an environment. Like, the fucking aunt told the sister that her mom died. That is so crass, you know, you don't fucking do that, man.
Yeah.
She'd crossed so many lines, but also they're just fucking starving the kids too. They stole the rice that they bought from their mother's possessions and then used it to feed the aunt's daughter and her husband, and they're feeding the kids fucking nothing. Like, the whole reason the daughter's in this, not the daughter, but the sister's in this position is because they're being so underfed that she started developing these things at that place because they're being fucking starved. And it's just sad, you know. The kids really had no other option there, and I think it's just a very tragic movie. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about too is the score. This movie's score is fantastic as well. It's a high production Ghibli movie, so you'd expect that, but it does a really good job. It really just feels, you know, you just get those senses of despair in all sorts of moments. And I really like that final shot too, where they're looking over like a modern Japan at the time. I think it's really pretty and poignant to what they're trying to go for. And I also just think it's fucking sad. The kid's bringing his mom's ashes everywhere they go, and then he starts bringing his sister's ashes all the way up into the end. You know, it's just, there's a ton of like subtle, small little details to this movie that really add to its overall charm.
Yeah. Well, alrighty, fellas. If that's everything we have to say about Grave of the Fireflies, I'm going to be sticking at my A.
Samesies.
I'm gonna stick with my A-.
Yeah, I'm sticking at my A+, and it lands at an A.